just take your time and just be really careful with that ATG gun. Once it's stuck, it's pretty secure and it's hard to get it off. And I'm keeping my finger on my right hand underneath there to kind of make sure that I'm keeping those tabs flat so that I don't have any foldovers with any bulk. And when you get back around to here, if it doesn't meet up perfectly, and it probably won't. Now, let me get that one last little tab. If this fold doesn't meet up just perfectly, then that's okay. It can overlap just a little bit more so that you're getting it nice and straight. And again, I'm just going to burnish that, and then I'm going to go back in with the flat end of my bone folder and flatten these down and burnish them really well. Okay, and that looks pretty good. And you can see it looks pretty neat, but to really give it a finished look, we don't really want to see all those tabs, especially where we have a couple little raw edges showing, and that's what the other smaller piece is for. So now I'm going to get this piece out, and here you'll want to decide again, do you want the contrast or do you want it to match? I kind of like the look of the contrast, so that's, I think, what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put my glue on this side. For this part right here, use any glue that you have that is a good white glue. It's mainly just to cover up that bottom so it doesn't have to be super secure, but you do want something that's going to dry clear. And I'm using just good old trusty Elmer's white glue for this. And then I like to just kind of spread it out. If you're using a thinner paper for this, and I highly recommend that you use a good heavyweight cardstock for this as well, because it's going to really make the bottom of your basket sturdier. So I'm just going to just spread that out, and then I'm just going to carefully drop that in here and position it. The nice thing about Elmer's is it dries super clear, but it doesn't dry so quick that you can't reposition it a little bit. Now, you might want to, when you're doing yours, watch this for a little while and make sure that those edges don't curl up. I think it's going to be okay, but I'm just pressing it down really good. And so now the inside of your basket really and truly looks neat, and I really do like that contrast. So now we're ready to do the ears. I'm going to set that aside. And if you already saw the picture, you know that the ears also make the handle. So I've already done one ear. And what I did is I used a similar paper, but it was more orange than pink. But the back side of it was pink, and I really liked that. So I'm going to use that. And these are thin enough to fit through your Xyron sticker maker if you have one. So I'm going to use that. If you don't have a Xyron sticker maker, that's okay. You can either use the Elmer's white glue with the paintbrush like I just showed you. Whoops, I've got a jam in there. You can either use the Elmer's white glue with the paintbrush like I showed you. You know what? I think oh, there we go. We've got enough. And then just make sure you get the adhesive all the way up to the edge. Or you can use your ATG gun or mono adhesive, but make sure that you get some adhesive up as close to the edge of this inside ear part as you can, because with the curvature of the handle on these ears, if you don't, your edges are going to pop up, and so it looks much nicer if you're really careful about that. So now I'm going to adhere that, and let's see, I think I like this way better. About 1 inch from the bottom, and I'm just going to, for comparison, I'm going to put the other one next to it. By the way, I used a little Tim Holtz Distress ink, and you probably can't see it on the camera. It's just very, very subtle to do, to put around the edges of that part. And so those are my ears. And now I'm going to bring this back over, And I'm going to just use, for positioning, I'm going to put a little ATG gun adhesive right here. And I'm going to stick this right about there. There we go. I got out of camera range. Sorry about that. But I'm going to stick it right about there so that the pink hits just about there at the edge. And the ATG gun adhesive will help to adhere it temporarily. Then I'm going to go back in with a hole punch, and this is my little 1/8 inch hole punch. I got it from Stampin' Up, but you can get them just about anywhere. And right about in the middle of there, and it's really on that seam, but don't worry about that because there's the other tab underneath it. I'm just going to punch a little hole on each one, right at that seam. And then I'm going to put a brad in there for extra security. Now, I found these brads at Office Max. These are just your standard office supply store brads, and they're larger, which is good for this project because we want them to be a little on the large side because it's a larger project. But I also found at Office Max in the scrapbooking section these pretty little shiny copper ones, and I really liked those, so I'm just going to stick that in there, open it up on the inside. I really liked the color contrast and the finish on those. So there you've done your ears.